In Christ Alone was the first song that I wrote with Keith Getty. And it was actually interesting that we'd actually met at a Worship Together conference in Eastbourne. And we met through a mutual friend. I know he was interested in meeting me. He'd heard of a song called How Deep the Father's Love. And he's from a classical background, so he wasn't really very excited about most of the worship songs that were around. But he did like that one because it had a more classical element. So this mutual friend of ours brought us together, and we just had a coffee and a chat and stuff. He said, well, I'll send you some melodies. Now, that happens quite a lot. You meet quite a lot of people who've got different musical ideas and stuff, and you know, you don't think anything particularly more of it. But we thought, okay, you know, he sent me, he said he'll send a CD, and that's what he did. He sent me a CD with 3 melodies on it. And I remember receiving the CD in the post. I thought, well, let's just have a listen. And the first melody I heard, I thought, that's a brilliant melody. That's a great melody. It's memorable. It really kind of has a grandeur, a gravitas about it, and an enduring quality about it. So, so I got quite excited hearing this melody and thought, if it's a kind of an enduring classic melody, you kind of need to try and find some enduring classic themes. So I began to think about the whole subject of telling the story of Christ, and in particular, what that means for us, what Christ has done and what that means in our lives. And so the kind of the words gradually began tumbling out. You know, the first verse kind of sets the scene of you know, of who we are in Christ, and then it goes into the whole subject of what Christ has done. Then the final verse really is saying, therefore, because of that, that means I need have no guilt in life, no fear in death. That my life, you know, the destiny of my life is held by God. And it's such an important message because we so often try and evaluate or try and pin our hopes on how well we're doing. Whether we do it consciously or not, I think we tend to do that. Whereas the whole message of grace is that it's not dependent at all upon how well I do. It's dependent on what He has done. So this fact of history comes together with my position and my faith and who I am in Christ. And because of the solidity of who Christ is, the solidity of historically what He's done for me, that means I can rely on that. So it doesn't depend on whether I feel good or bad, whether I am successful or I fail in the Christian life. It's dependent on who He is. So that was the kind of enduring message I wanted to convey. And the two things came very much together. But it very much, the whole kind of inspiration for it came out of hearing that melody that Keith had written.